Okay, next up, we got a gold to Orisa VOD. You mentioned you play Diva and Orisa in the code, but I guess we'll just focus on the Orisa since that's what you've titled it. Again, on Circuit Royale, we just did one from that map. We win this match, but I don't really feel comfortable with my performance. I'm sure if the people from the other team coordinated a little more, I wouldn't have been able to play. Also, I don't know. But now, seeing my VOD, I just realized that I was playing on literally back. I'm not sure what that means. I had some problems at first. And in the second round against a hog, I think the main problem was that I played too scared and behind, I think is what you meant to type out there. We can take a look at it. I wouldn't say if the team was coordinated, you wouldn't have been able to play, because that's what Orisa is actually great at, is just sort of surviving and existing. A big part of that is managing your cooldowns and making sure you're cycling them correctly. But again, she is not particularly punishable in a lot of cases. Different if you're playing Monkey or Wrecking Ball, someone who sort of thrives in the uncoordinated environment that is ranked. But for this one, Orisa is quite great at that, actually. So we'll have a look at this code. I see her on Diva to start with, so I might actually skip ahead a bit to the Orisa, which is now, okay. This looks like the first time we're rolling out a spawn based on the ult charge. Now, what Orisa is incredibly good at the moment is one, surviving, but two, because of that ability to survive and just a large health pool, is that she's really good at controlling space or maintaining it, which is going to be really important when going into a matchup against Doom, because Doom is constantly, let's find somewhere on the map to look at. Oops. Let's say this corner, perhaps? Or am I thinking? Maybe this corner. This will be easier to show it. So we'll say this corner, right? If you're holding this corner as Orisa, Doomfist is either going to, if your team is grouped up, he's either going to run an AoE slam and just sort of hit everyone in this zone and generate charge and sort of contest space that way. If you're not, if your team is spread out, which is more likely when you have an Ashe trying to off-angle a Sombra in the back line and you have supports, he's going to try and go on the supports, right? He's going to try and punish the Alari specifically, because the Moira can just fade away. But in that case, if you're holding this corner and he's trying to push in, your Moira or your Alari is, say, here, he's going to look to find angles to get onto the Alari, and then he's going to contest this space, right? The Alari is going to peel and face him. Maybe the Moira is pocketing the Alari. The Ashe might be positioned over here and turns to shoot him. And they're going to try and force him out, which is then going to be your green light to press go. During this time, when the time in which he's in, you are just going to be sitting and anchoring on point. If he starts trading, if he starts winning, you need to then go trade backlines, but otherwise you're just trying to maintain this space, this area, to deny any follow-up to the space that he is trying to create. So that is where Orisa finds her value. She's also popular, or unpopular to common belief. She is a brawl tank. She is not a poke tank like she used to be with shield and stuff, and a high fire rate long distance weapon. She has a high fire rate short range weapon, does a lot of damage up close, and a lot of her kit, meaning the speed of javelin spin, the sustainability of fortify, and the slow and sort of denial of javelin in general, make for her to be able to close the distance from gap A to B, and get to these places and then play around these corners and sort of make her way through the map as such. So you're going to do a really good job of just positioning on cart and making sure that whenever the Doom goes in, you're not actually, you could probably maybe turn and throw a javelin at him if that helps your team, if they are struggling with him, but you are not going to go and javelin spin into him. and try and physically push him off and make him shoot you and fortify. Because if you do that, they're all going to give him support, and then he's not going to have to then kite out of where he goes in. He's just going to be able to sit here as his team pushes up with him, and then this is going to be the new front line, and you're going to be holding this corner now. So you either need to recognize that your backline has failed and they have not forced him out and he's found value, which could be a good chance given that they have a Discord on whoever he wants to go on and Genji for follow-up. But if that happens, you need to go trade backlines. You need to go javelin this Zenyatta, or javelin the Brig and then walk on the Zenyatta. One of the two, right? Walk on their backline, punish the DPS that try and find these off angles this way and this way by, you know, javeling him into the wall or into this one. Without leaving your position here, unless like it's not too much of a difference, like say playing on this corner and they try and flank around here and you can push them quickly but still maintain this main sideline. That's cool, but this is the principle of Orisa, is that you're really good at surviving and living and then forcing them to use resources onto you, but just absorbing it all because you have Fortify, and with your ult as well, you have another Fortify, and you have Javelin Spin and all these abilities, right? And just a large health pool, which is half armor as well. So a lot of stuff to be able to survive, but that's what you're going to leverage in the difference between the two. So we'll see how well you do that here. So this is good. I like this, right? You're walking out, you're helping your Alari, you push him back, if he stays alive, you use the Javelin Spin, but now you're using it to go in, right? So these next, you're fully healthy, you almost have Javelin back, you have Fortify still, you have an Alari behind you, you're in a good position right now, right? What you don't need to do is what you do in this next little bit, which is then walk backwards and play a little safely, right? And then you see this Brig pushed up and you go, hey, actually I can punish this Brig, and then you fortify. It's good, but you need to like keep pushing this aggression, keep going, because this Doom is really weak, the Brig is really weak, and you can absolutely punish these, and you do, because you get up close and personal, and that's how Orisa likes to play. Unfortunate. Now we need to get to point because it's almost at the checkpoint. Javelin spinning. Again, we're sort of going passive when we're using our cooldowns. Passive is for when we've already used them, not when we're in the process of using them. So Javelin Spin, just ignore the Brig. We don't really care about her. She's got a lot of health, would need a lot of help to kill her. Instead, we can go Javelin Spin to point and then maybe punish someone that she isn't peeling for right now. She's more killable now, but it's really important that we can test card at the moment as well, because our Moira is having to do it. Now we're just going to chill. Now we have our abilities. We're going to look to go in again. We can fortify because we're a little low if we need to. But then we stay healthy. It's good. I want to say, I'm not confident on this, but I'm sort of confident. I want to say that Javelin is also going to break up Doom's power block and not charge it. It's going to interrupt it. So I would be saving Javelin for that specifically if... Yeah, there you go. It did. So I'd be... That's one use. Unless you're using it to deny a overextended or a really aggressively positioned soldier or Genji, or you're going to trade on the backline, then a good use of it will be denying his power block. And that might be a good thing to be able to do. Say if he were to jump onto your backline right now, if you can turn and just still sit here, or sit on this corner, better yet, so that they actually still have to aggress onto you to damage you, and then throw a javelin at him when he power blocks to buy time for himself, that's going to be really good at countering him. But if I can draw your attention to it, the Javelin is sort of a misplay. Like, could someone follow up on that? Maybe you get the Zen, but probably unlikely he dies anyway. Right now we're getting shredded. We don't need to use Javelin Spin to kite. We're already out of LOS of the Zen now. We're pretty safe. I think we would have been fine without it. But we want to use these tools to aggress. So, aggressing again, to reiterate, either going on their backline and trading backlines when their Doom finds value on yours, or maintaining the space until the Doom has to then kite back out to these places, and then we can aggress onto him with our cooldowns and punish him when he's low. And not low on health, low on abilities, and, you know, has to play a bit slower. And again, just don't need to press S, we just need to cut LOS of these threats to us, or these people damaging us, right? We just need to play cover, play up against walls. It does the same thing as holding S to our team, as just denying the source of incoming damage. Now we can, I would be, yeah, nice. You're gonna do it. I said I was more thinking I would be Javelin spinning into their team right now to get on top of their Zen soldier and then be doing this. But I think it works out anyway. The point being that you probably have Javelin spin back to, I mean, it resets your cooldowns after you ult. Wait, does it reset your cooldown? I might be lying, actually, just then. You had all yours available anyway, my bad. But yeah, you probably have Javelin spin back to you when you need it. And I think it's better to use the Fortify of the ult and then have Fortify available after you, rather than use the Fortify to go in. Because I think you put yourself in bad positions with the ult, and it's good to have Fortify as an escape or survivability tool after that. But if we're wondering why we're dying, one, it's because we gave up all this space before, right? So now we're having to push back into it. Instead of just holding this corner and sort of denying all this, like making all this space ours and forcing them to play back here, they've now rotated up to here, and their Doom is pressing this space. And we're sort of caught in no man's land, and we're also away from any cover because we have to contest point. So it just doesn't matter how good your cooldown usage is in this moment. You're having 4 to 5 people shooting you at any given time. You're not going to be able to live through that. Especially not with a Discord or any damage multipliers like that. Almost got him. Again, not a bad Javelin, but just also think, like, anytime you're using a cooldown, you're making yourself weaker until it comes back. So unless that cooldown is going to find value, and there's like a good reason for it, then you need to sort of regulate if you're actually going to use it. Or if you actually should use it, I should say. So I don't hate that, because like nothing else is happening. It's a bit of free ult charge. Maybe you somehow get a lucky kill. But just be mindful of it. Because when the Doomfist sees you use a Javelin just then, he's like, okay, she can't interrupt my power block. I'm safe to power block on my next power block for the next 6 seconds-ish anyway. And he's getting a bit bullied by your Sombra anyway, but the point still stands if you did not have a Sombra. And we're playing really passively right now, which I think you mentioned had some problems at first and in the second round against Hog. So you think you play more scared against Hog, which I think you're playing scared now. Because again, just to give you a reference for what I think this should look like in theory, is that right now you have, I want to say you have your whole team with you, right? You have Moira, you have Alari. Yeah. Right now I would want to see you just walking out to this corner, right? And then you can jiggle peek between peeking this alley, this sight line and this one. And you're still able to punish anyone for trying to press into this space. And then, but if they want to damage you while you're doing this, while you're closing the distance from A to B, then you Javelin spin this bit, right? You eat projectiles, you eat any damage, you take this space for your team, that's 1 cooldown. Then if this soldier maybe tries to take an angle on you, you can Javelin him, or you can Javelin someone. But otherwise, you're just waiting. Once you have Javelin Spin again, then maybe you can look to press up on a different corner. Say, maybe from this corner, you even just get to this one. And then maybe you can get to like this area, right? It has this natural cover. It has this pillar as natural cover, has this natural cover, has a lot of places. Cart's already here, so I'd say it's probably going to get to here by the time you get out. So maybe just holding this space is really good. And if they want to sit on cart, then you can like keep swinging around this way and shooting them. And if they want to press into you, then you just kite around to here and then you play here. And then if they push you, then you use Javelin Spin to get back to this sort of bit of cover here, or even around to this corner, right? You have to sort of learn how to go from wall to wall. And if you can get there for free, you do that. If you can't, you use a cooldown. That's what cooldowns are used for, is about taking and taking space and maintaining it, or kiting if you need to. But right now it's like our Ashe is trying to like get picks, but she's actually having to play ahead of us to do it. And she doesn't feel safe. Like if she takes any damage right now like that, she's going to coach gun away, or she's just going to die, right? You could have prevented that by just actually pressing W a little bit. In this moment, I think I would be using Fortify, but that's okay. Purely because the benefit of Javelin Spin is that it eats up projectiles, but you're looking at a Doom and a Brig who don't have projectiles, they just have melee weapons. And it probably deflects it, but it doesn't... Oh, I don't know, does it deflect it? It looks like it's deflecting it in that moment. But I still think you can maintain the space better with Fortify, and then you can get out with the speed boost of Javelin Spin if you need to. So recognizing which one to use in which scenario. Alright, how does this happen? We just play 2 out in the open and get hit by 5 people again, I think. Yeah, good couple Zen headshots, I think, and some Doom ones as well. But again, just sort of getting to, if we sort of look at this, if we're walking up to here, and then getting to this corner, and then decide what to do. Don't sort of just like slowly be shooting, as well as when you're shooting, your movement speed is decreased as well, so you're just slowly making yourself easier to hit and staying away from cover. Get to this point, then decide what to do. Then get to this point, and once card gets closer, then you can walk out to contest it. If you find an advantage before that, then you can obviously press W sooner. This is obviously a huge opportunity to press W. But you also need to be in this position to be able to get out here and then use your Terror Surge. I just get staggered out of spawn. I think you die there no matter what. I was going to say, you know, you might have lingered a little bit and not used Fortify as well, but I think it's a pretty unlivable situation. Just acknowledging Javelin use again, when we talked about being able to minimize the value this Doom gets, and you could have a really easy Javelin right now to break up his power block, but instead you don't have Javelin on cooldown, off cooldown rather. So again, Javelin not used as much as a poke tool, as much of a punishing aggression or confirming a kill. So right now would be a great time to finish off that Doomfist with a Javelin if we hadn't just used it on the Brig, who was somewhat overextended, so I give you a pass on that. But it's more stemming from the first one. And that was obviously a really good one just then, and she does die. I was going to say with a little bit of micro, maybe you hit the shot and she does die, but she does get cleaned up anyway. And now I'm pressing, like, if they're 2 down, right, they're down their tank and their tracer, you're up all of your team. I'd be hard pressing this right now. I would be playing this corner. Oh no, I just completely moved the time. I don't remember what we were up to. It wasn't quite this. Is this it? Something like this? No, it's before this. Here we go. Yeah, if we're in this moment, I would then... I don't think you needed to use Fortified just then either. But then I would get to this corner, and then I'd be Javelin spinning to this corner. And then if you are in a position, you can look to Javelin any one of these 3. And then if there's something to follow up on, then you Fortify when you're moving away from cover. But you probably just get to that corner. And so learning how to sort of go wall to wall throughout the map, using cover as your shield essentially. It'll clean up your cooldown usage so much, and this will make such a difference in your gameplay. Because anytime you're taking damage, you're also demanding a lot of resources from your backline. And if you're demanding your Alari to be healing all the time instead of damaging, then you're lessening her value and probably letting this Doom get away with a lot more than he should. And again, I think you're giving up a lot of space here for free. They aren't forcing this space away from you. The Doom goes in, just ignore him. Just continue to sit on this corner and stop anyone following up. Because if you let this Zen swing and get a Discord on someone, then you haven't held that space effectively, and you are letting the Doomfist get more value than you in terms of what each tank is doing for their team. If their Zen is able to swing this wide and throw a Discord orb on a target that the Doom is diving, then you're 99% of the time going to start losing these trades, and he is going to start finding value getting picks on the backline. I think it's only being padded by the fact that you have a Sombra is making his job a little bit harder. But also absorbing that punch. Ana also got hit by that just then. This Tracer is just standing in front of you. That's a red flag in general. And again, you can turn and shoot this Doomfist. But turn and shoot him and don't press W. Just sit where you are and shoot him from there. Because then he's going to... Where he has to go from here is back out towards you. And if he does a slam and lands here and then you're still here, then you can get up close and personal and shoot him. And it'll be really easy to do so. As well as he would have just died there without your help anyway, so you may as well just hold the space and stop them from getting value off him. I think I'm making my point clear enough, so I'll just get through a little bit more of this. I don't think we have to go through another 8 minutes of the VOD to keep showing it, but I think I'll just stick out this defense. And hopefully that'll get my point across. I liked this CD usage the whole time we were doing this, but I'll just point out, if you're listening to your audio in this moment, and you're even seeing the bullet trails, I would love to see you use Javelin to punish this soldier. It won't kill him, and it may not even scare him. I mean, it may not sort of stop him from doing what he's doing, but it might just scare him for a little bit and let your team deal with one thing at a time, being this Doom or this Tracer. Because she's going to clean up the Alari, Doom's going to have made space, and they're just following up on it at this point. He's taking all the space, he's taking all the attention and all the resources, and they're starting to find value off of it. But other than that, I liked how you used Fortify to maintain space. When people were probably not supporting you, you had it available to you to live. I think that's a bad Javelin, and there's another moment right now where you get punished for not having it. Because that's probably a death right there, because he's purple, he's not getting any help. Nice. Cleaned it up. 25 seconds. And you can even now, I know Carter's here, but you can even now play this corner for a bit. Force them to use some resources to take this space, and then they'll have less resources when they're trying to contest a point at the end in overtime. If they even get there, you might just straight up EMP and Nano and just win the fight outright further up. Your Sombra wants to use it up there. Yeah, not bad. You could have confirmed that kill distance. That's cool. Your Ana's in a bad spot though, because she's trying to nano the Sombra. Which you clean up, so no harm, no foul. Yeah, that's good. But like I say, I don't think we need to watch any more of this to sort of get the point that I'm making across. Basically, just try and use your... and I hate that this is here. Again, if this is A and this is B, even if B equals like a brig or something, or like a target you're trying to go on, it's about how do we get here? Can I get here for free, or do I have to use cooldowns? If so, do I use Javelin Spin to eat projectiles and have a speed boost to get further quicker? Or do I have to use Fortify because there's no cover and I need to sort of be a bit tankier and just slowly walk up with my team? Because there may be a tank in the way, like I need to use Fortify to get to here, and then I can sort of chill on this corner for a little bit. You know, things like this. Do I need to use both of them? You know, is it more important that I just hold this space, and if someone swings out here, then I can Javelin them? These are sort of the questions that you can be asking yourself throughout the match, but it's generally about how to use your abilities to close the gap and get up close and personal, or to maintain it during the enemy's uptime. But I hope that helps. I hope that explains it well. If it doesn't, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to explain it or to go through it more in depth. Otherwise, feel free to send me more Orisa VODs once you've improved it, and all the best with your games.